Okay, so I'm here at Embryo's Baulking Lake, just in between Oxford and Swindon. This isn't really going to be a kind of how to catch fish so much. There's enough videos online that show you that sort of information. One of the things that I was a bit frustrated about when trying to find information was sort of general things, facilities, what the swims were like, that kind of thing. So the positive thing I can report is that the swims are brilliant. I'll show you them in a little bit, but because we're here at the end of October, literally the last weekend of October, there's a group of us, 8 of us, have booked an exclusive on the lake, and the weather was going to be very wet. In actual fact, fortunately, it hasn't been as wet as the forecast leading up to it suggested it was going to be. But in order to sort of remain comfortable, I wanted to bring the Tempest 150, which is like a 1.5 man bivvy. I've got the social cap, and I really wasn't sure whether or not that size bivvy would fit into any of the swims, because I just couldn't find the information. So the good news is that I have managed to fit it on. It is a very tight squeeze, but it gets on just about. Sideways, unfortunately, so it doesn't enable you to look directly out onto the water. However, the angle that I'm at, with the door open and everything, I can see the majority of the water that I'm fishing, so that's fine. Facilities wise, there are 2 toilets, which is great. I would say really for the size of the lake it probably could do with a 3rd, but you know, I don't know the logistics of getting toilets fitted onto a lake, so that's one of those things. With regard to shops, if you need any shops in Swindon, you've got Angling Direct, you've got Hinders. Swindon's about half an hour away. I'm sure the bailiff was actually saying there was another one probably 25 minutes away, so slightly closer. For sort of food and those sort of essentials, out the gate, turn left. Within 3 miles you've got yourself a co-op, and next to that, actually, I noticed yesterday, was a full cafe. But if you come out the gate and turn right, there's a petrol station probably 2 miles away, which is very well equipped with sort of food and hot food as well. So that's quite handy if you've come down here and you sort of, you know, forgotten bits and pieces, or you want to shoot out to get some milk or something like that. With regard to the fishing, it's been a little bit slower for us than I had anticipated. Now, I know everyone's got their own ideas about moon phases, but we're here on a big, bright full moon, and despite the sort of rain that we have had, every night has been very bright. Now, in my experience, and I've been carp fishing over 40 years now, I have never really done well or known fisheries to fish well on bright full moons. Again, it's just a personal observation, and we've had that. But out of the 8 of us that are on here, to the best of my knowledge, 6 so far have caught, and I think there's probably been something in the region of about 10 fish caught between those 6 people. The biggest so far, I think it was one that I've caught at the moment. It was 29 pounds and 14 ounces, so just a couple of ounces under 30 pounds, but still a lovely fish. The water itself is crystal clear. It's absolutely stunning. It surprises me actually that there's not a lot of weed in here, because there really isn't a lot of weed. And any of the other videos that you watch, and if you go onto the website, you'll see the depth maps and everything. There's a lot of really deep water, and everything that I'd seen in the run-up to this was basically suggesting don't bother fishing the deep water, because those that have tried haven't caught. So we've avoided that. The bailiff Jack has been brilliant, really informative. The information that he's provided us has definitely benefited us to catching the fish that we have caught. I'm currently in swim 2, where it's a more shallow recline down to the deeper water. So I'm fishing at, I was fishing at 16 wraps and didn't have anything, and I just thought, I wonder if just coming in at 14 wraps would just make any difference at all. And I've been spotting an area at 16, but I put a few spots out at 14, and within about half an hour casting out at 14 wraps, I caught that. I had landed that fish. So I've moved everything back to about 14 wraps for now. We're all pretty much on different baits, as you would imagine. The fish that I caught was on the main on a mainline cell, bottom bait actually, on a combi rig. I think some of the others, I think Ian caught, I don't know what make of boilie it was, but it was a washed out pink boilie. I think some of them are on yellows, yellow corn, so pretty much everything that works. These are fairly young fish, and at this moment in time haven't been fished for a number of years, so there's quite a few of them. I believe 650 carp, which is one of the reasons I think probably we possibly should have done better, but ultimately we certainly expected to do better. We've still got another 24 hours ahead of us, so who knows what's going to happen. It is cold, it's quite cold nights, but yeah, we're just going to wait and see what happens. Couple of negatives, not that there's anything that Embryo can do about it, but there's a kennel just next to the lake with the dogs bark quite a lot during the night. There's a train track just over the back again. The trains come through quite noisy, and you've got RAF Bryce Norton, which can make a bit of a noise. So I did find myself in the middle of the first night digging around the bag trying to find some earplugs. I only ever put one in, just so that, and then put the other one on the pillow so that I can always hear the buzzers, but it just dulls down the rest of the sort of outside noise and allows you to sleep. So bear that in mind if you come up here. The other thing to bear in mind, or the other thing to consider, is that the paths, certainly at the moment where they're a little bit wet, they're not great. Obviously there are a couple of car parks, possibly even 3 car parks, but for a lot of the swims, everything from 2, 1 and all the way round probably to about, I don't know, probably about swim 8 or something, you're going to need a barrow. However, the path is a bit all over the place, and even the guys that have bought the big electric barrows really struggled. Unfortunately, my barrow actually hit a sort of divot in the path, turned over and literally broke the barrow. So yeah, I would just bear that in mind, because like I say, that's possibly the one thing that Embryo have got control of, that they could perhaps just improve on a little bit. It's a new fishery and maybe they've got that in their plans anyway, but certainly to do something with the path would be great. Other than that, you just can't fault the lake. It's a great shape as a lake. It's 19 acres. I fish another lake pretty much exactly the same size, but it just looks so much bigger because of the length of it, whereas this one here, because effectively it is a roundish shape, it doesn't look as big. But what happens is when you're in any of the swims, you get a really decent amount of water in you. You've got no real worries about, am I casting into someone else's water, because the water you want to be fishing, actually in the sort of shallower depths, is so much in your swim that it doesn't become a problem. It's not like you're all fishing to a central thing and wondering who's casting where, and if you're going to be going over anyone, or if anyone's going to be coming over you. So yeah, like I say, the lake itself is absolutely wonderful. I can't fault the fishing. You know, like I say, we haven't perhaps done as well as we may have imagined that we would do, but the fish that we caught are all lovely fish. They are young fish, and we are treating this very much as a social. We all reeled in yesterday afternoon, which was Saturday, and had a barbecue in one of the car parks. Rain put stop to that in the end, but it was nice just to get together. We're a group of lads that have fished together since the early to mid 80s, actually, a lot of us, and periodically we get together on groups like this. So fingers crossed for the other guys that haven't caught yet that they will do. I know that Ian over on the point there's a very social point, he hasn't caught yet, but Piers, who is next to him on almost I think you call it the end swim, probably swim 14, he's had 3 last night, despite having obviously not having had any. So hopefully they've moved up here. Both Piers and I came second from last and last out of the draw, hence the reason we are perhaps in swims that we didn't want to be. However, we did the sensible thing and followed the wind, and the wind is blowing right into us, and it was in the week in the run up to it, has been throughout the weekend that we've been here, although as Jack the bailiff did tell us, they tend to ignore the wind, and they do like to get off the back of the wind, and sure enough directly opposite me at the other end of the lake, where there is effectively no wind. A friend of ours, Neil, he was fishing in swim 13. He moved down on the first morning because of the amount of fish that were showing, and caught one within a short period of time, and I believe he caught one last night as well. So wind is perhaps not something that is a major issue here. Like I say, we thought we were doing the sensible thing. When you come last out the draw, you then go with the sort of, you know, your gut instinct, and that's obviously to have the wind into your face, but yeah, it definitely wasn't the right decision, or doesn't appear to have been the right decision as I'm recording this video. Like I say, we're not blanked yet. We haven't blanked, so that's a positive, but there hasn't been any fish at all really showing in what we would consider our water. And as I look out, it's almost like a very large bay here in front of us, and there hasn't been a fish here. Most of the fish that we have seen are in deeper water. They're down at the back of the wind on the opposite bank, or they're around the little point swims there. I think there are 4 swims there, and there's 3 of us that are fishing it at the moment. 2 of them have caught. I think one's caught 3 and one's caught 1. And like I say, Ian isn't off to mark yet. And then we've got the other Ian, who is in swim 3, which is a nice lazy one from the Carp point of view. He was the first to catch. I think he caught within about half an hour of casting out on the first day. But since then, nothing. And again, there just hasn't been any fish showing in almost like in this half of the lake, to be fair. So the fish that we've caught, which is only between us, Ian and I, has only been 2 fish. It's almost like they can't be part of these big shoals. They must just be loner fish that are swimming around and just picking up a little bit of bait. But yeah, look, we've got another 24 hours yet, so fingers crossed. There may be an update, but as I say, I just wanted to really give you more information about the sort of, you know, the facilities here, the sort of stuff that I wasn't able to find on some of the other videos that I saw online. So if you do come down here, and I'd highly recommend it, good luck. Probably in my from this weekend, try to pick a weekend that's not a full moon, although I know people love full moons, so maybe it is just a mind thing. But yeah, I think really, as I say to anyone with regard to fishing, I think fish what you're confident with. If you've got rigs and baits that work for you on different lakes, then come here and start on that. You know, there's no need to these. Like I say, these are young fish. They're not going to be highly shy and sensitive. There will obviously be things that work better than others, different colours, different baiting strategies, different rigs, but I always think if you start off with what you're comfortable with, what you're confident in, then you can't go wrong. So good luck if you're coming down here, and hope you catch a few more than we do, but like I say, we've had a great time.
So impressed, careful. He runs away to the far side. He's getting dragged back by Paul Tierney. I'll leave you with that to it.
Lift it out, fine.
Yay! Never coming here with horses.
Oh, fuck, he's up in there.